Today's video we're gonna dive deep into the heroic Zul Gurub with my not-so-geared Witch Hunter. My item level is only 45, but I still did manage to find a group to get onto the recently released ZG on the Conquest of Azeroth realm. Hope you enjoy the video. Okay, and then finally we have started clearing some trash. Finally, some PvE action on Conquest of Azeroth. Holy moly, the trashes has cleared us very fast. But after the initial packs, I was very happy with my DPS. As you can see, 3.5k, only barbarians leading the way, which are pretty overpowered at the moment. And Witch Hunter has an amazing ability. As you can see, I can turn into this freaking raven and get Godspeed. Quick off topic, I have always really loved how Zul Gurub looks like. The whole Stranglethorn veil was pretty amazing in the first place, but yeah, this instant is so freaking cool. Unfortunately, when it came down to single target, I started to drop, but I guess 6th place out of 20 is not so bad, so I take it. Unfortunately, I did manage to find myself a couple of times in a pretty sticky situations, and eventually I did die. But all in all, I wasn't alone, so I didn't feel that bad for myself, especially while pumping on the DPS meters with item level of 37, which is a whooping amount. Eventually it turned out that we were constantly dying to some kind of unstable concoction from the bats that dealt instantly 5000 fire damage, and if they popped it simultaneously, then whole melee packs were dying instantly almost. Definitely a tank's fault, so I didn't really care that much. Just kidding. I'm not hating anybody, especially that I'm not the smartest in the pack. Then I noticed that there is actually an information that those guys go mad and then they explode. So I guess I just have to pay more attention, I guess. Eventually we managed to clear the bats from the whole altar of Hirek, and the fight with the High Priestess Jeklik has begun. It wasn't really the sharpest blade in the raid in single target, but the whooping 2.8k DPS and the 7th place wasn't really that bad, so I take it. We did get plenty of loot, which I didn't get any share of, although the boss went really smooth. We didn't have any problems, no wipes whatsoever, but it seems that bosses are easier than the trash. Let's carry on. Unfortunately, when it comes down to High Priest Venoxis, I did lose half of a fight because of a big lag DC and then my launcher that decided it would be a cool thing update in the middle of the raid. The Venoxis boss did eventually die pretty smooth, no any extra mechanics or anything like that. The loot was plenty. Although most of this stuff was for the casters, I did manage to put a need on a leather piece with some agility and spell power, because Witch Hunters use both physical and magical damage, and we also have a talent that basically gives us spell damage by 50% of our attack power and attack power by 50% of our intellect. So usually shaman gear is literally like perfect for us, although pure agility with some additional spell power would be nice as well, because we spell power increase our magic damage, which is the fire part that we're doing, and the physical damage of course is pure weapon damage that scales off also very nicely. Oh, but during fighting the trash mobs, Zulian Hacker of the Bear fell down, so I needed immediately, and I won! Holy Jesus Christ, this will be a massive upgrade, especially that I will be replacing my heirloom weapon. Look at this, 400 damage. When we switch, it's actually worse. Okay, I will have to think it through. Maybe the stats are better. We'll see. This is mostly strength, but this weapon is a lot slower, so probably should go into my offhand with some hit rating on. They should help definitely. Especially that Witch Hunters don't really use offhand weapon damage, because you know we don't have skills that hit with both weapons and stuff like that. So only main hand weapon counts. And I actually think that the best way to go for Witch Hunter would be fast offhand to apply most amounts of debuff as we possibly can. When it comes down to trash, it seemed that only the bats were a little bit deadly, at least until now. The rest was going pretty smooth, and we were actually making our way to the Bloodlord Mandokir with ease. The right leader decided to drop a raid warning about some tactic for this boss. And if you're interested in the DPS meters from Conquest of Azeroth, Barbarians are topping the charts. Look at this, 75k. First is Knight of Soroth, actually. Of course, we're not taking into consideration any gear because I'm not going to be inspecting the whole raid. But yeah, Knight of Soroth, then 3 Barbarians with a Necromancer in between, another Barbarian on 6th place, and then on level 7, actually there's my very humble name. But in this case, I definitely know that I'm pretty heavily undergeared, so I wouldn't take it as a big indicator. There was a very messy pull in the Mandokir's domain, but it seems that after leaving his area, we were able to reset it and finish off the trash. Like I said in my review video, the best thing about Witch Hunter is that basically everything we do is AoE except for like auto attacks and slash skill, which is our basic for generating rage. Other than that, everything clears pretty much. But after trying like things like Barbarian as well myself, I can say the same thing about other classes. Maybe not like all the spells like in Witch Hunter. In Witch Hunter's case, but those spells that actually cleave are still in a single target rotation and they deal crazy amounts of damage. That's why they are topping the charts with ease. Now the area has been cleared and we were ready to face the Bloodlord Mandokir. Zug. But if we take a look at those Barbarians, you can see that basically all of their gear is heroic. So I think that if I would be geared, we could pretty much match the DPS of those guys. But it's still alpha, it's not that relevant, things are still indeed changed, so let's just enjoy some Zul Gurub. The fight started very nicely. Other tank was keeping aggro on the Raptor and we were slapping the Mandokir, although there was small detail that I didn't take into consideration. I wasn't exactly paying attention for the Blade Storm, and I have been slapped a little bit too much. I went into the Spirit Realm and wasn't exactly sure what I am supposed to do, and eventually just died to the spirits that were constantly chasing me. So yeah, I guess we have to add another corpse run. So in the end, it turned out that we have wiped the first attempt, by the time I came back, of course. So now the tactics were a little bit more clear after some explanations, so I think the second attempt looked a little bit more promising. Basic tactics: rest others, hope you get rest, and don't die. Let's roll. One very good thing about Witch Hunters also that we still have our ranged abilities from crossbow or gun, so even if we get into a ranged situation, like running away from Blade Storm in this case, we can still continue at least some of our DPS, which of course isn't as good as the normal one, but it's still pretty damn good. We also have Vault ability, which allows us to almost instantly run away from sticky situations. I wanted to resurrect somebody actually in the realm of the dead, but I was not able to, unfortunately. It does take a while to cast, and I will probably die before I will be able to res it. But yeah, for the whole fight, I didn't die that many times, and it was only like 5% left of his HP. So we count this one as a success. My DPS was going very nicely throughout the fight, but yeah, eventually the details meters are soaked red with the blood of the fallen, with Barbarians and one Cox leading the charge. Oh, we had a very nice Warblade of the Hakari drop and a Swift Razashi Raptor. I love Raptors, so I of course need it, and lost it. Before the next spider boss, Priestess Mareli, we're actually on the timer, as in 20 minutes there was a server restart. Thankfully only for 2 minutes, so it wasn't a big deal, but it could still interrupt the boss fight, so we actually wanted to kill him before they turn off the server. This is one of the big drawbacks of the alpha, it is what it is, we just have to swallow it for the moment. Basic tactic, try to kick drain life and move out of poison. Got it. Zug. Drain life interrupted very cleanly, and we carry on with the massive DPS parses. Throughout the fight, the drain lives have been interrupted constantly, so nothing really went through. I really loved this fight as it was very cleave friendly, so I could drop some very nice numbers. Personally, of course, because as usual, Details was soaking red from the freaking barbarians with a little bit of a purple necromancy color. But if you're curious, the necromancer was actually playing the summoning tree, so it's not the frost one that I have showcased recently. And in my opinion, frost is the most satisfying of all of those necromancy specs. But I guess it's a personal preference, so up to you, bros. So, the boss went pretty smoothly, the poison was not really that deadly as it was supposed to be, and actually 2 very nice rings with hit rating dropped. So I needed both, hoping for some RNG God's Luck or Blessing or whatever, which eventually didn't happen. So we managed to kill the boss and still had plenty of minutes before the server shut down, so we rushed for another one. But unfortunately we didn't make it before the server restart, and it actually took a little bit longer than we expected. Unfortunately, I had to finish for that day, so for a quick summary, it was very fun to do the new raid with the new classes, definitely a refreshing experience, even though the content is the same as on every other classic server. New classes do create some new interactions and stuff like that, so it was definitely very fun. It was also good to see some lower numbers on the DPS meters, but it seems that the difference between my undergeared character and geared barbarians was basically like 2x multiplier, which means that with higher gear ceiling from Nax, for example, you can probably reach crazy amounts of DPS, maybe even reaching the same amounts as on the Elune server, so that wasn't really something I expected after CoA. So I do have some hopes up that they will tune down the numbers a little bit, as I love the ones we see currently, but it's still due to change, but the future will tell. Definitely recommend trying out Zul Gurub with the new classes. Lots of fun, Witch Hunter, amazing class to try out, and as you can see, has some pretty nice performance in raid environment as well. It's a shame that we didn't have a chance to finish this raid for today, but I will definitely try out more of it in the future. As for the winner, it's Jason Hayes 9054. Definitely one I'm looking forward to trying. This is, of course, all about Necromancer. So check out the mail of the Cheese Sauce character on Elune. So congratulations, and I see you in the Conquest of Azeroth.